Welcome back to Gold Rush Reporter, where we dive into everything silver, gold, and precious metals. If you're here for the latest on silver and how to make sense of it during the holidays, you're in the right place. Before we start, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a silver update that could impact your stack or portfolio. This holiday season, silver is shining brighter than usual. Literally, a lot more people are finding silver among their gifts than they normally would. But here's the catch. Most recipients are going to look at these coins and have no idea what they actually hold. Some of it will even look dirty or stinky. Classic silver from long-term storage. But that doesn't change the value, and that's what we're here to break down. Over the holidays, while spending time with my family, I noticed several kids unwrapping silver dollars from their gifts. Mostly Eisenhower dollars, some bicentennials, some standard. Naturally, I had to investigate. Where did they come from? What's their value? Even a small stack can be interesting if you know what to look for. For those curious, I'll show you most of the stack here. A huge pile of Eisenhowers, but that's not all. Before we dig deeper, a quick shout out to Summit Metals. They're a one-stop shop for gold and silver, whether you want to buy, sell, or even just learn about it. Visit summitmetals.com for more info. That's just a note before we go into the silver specifics. Now, let's talk coins. Take this $20 Liberty Double Eagle, for example. Not a coin you bury in a drawer. Even though I'm not a professional coin dealer, I can identify gold coins and estimate value better than most people. Silver, on the other hand, is trickier, especially telling constitutional silver from junk silver. I may not know every rare date or exception, but I can estimate today's value, give you a sense of melt price, and even tell a child whether their coin is worth a few dollars or over $100. Let's simplify with melt value. For instance, at a silver spot price of $71, the silver in a Morgan dollar is about $55. Eisenhowers are more complex. Some have 90% silver, some 40%, some none at all. Bicentennial Eisenhowers are 40% silver, meaning if grandma gave you one, it's worth more than $22. The problem? Most people don't know this offhand, and if you're new to junk silver, you might be surprised to learn that Eisenhowers could even be 90% silver in certain collector sets. In reality, though, the majority of Eisenhowers you'll see are not silver. That's where confusion sets in. Even as a seasoned silver analyst, sorting these out can be tricky. In this particular cache I examined, roughly half were bicentennials and half were standard. A quick look might not tell you which is which, so understanding the edge, date, and mint mark is essential. This is why the holidays are an interesting time for silver. Kids unwrap coins, adults scratch their heads, and suddenly everyone has a chance to learn the basics of silver content and value. It's not just about holding coins, it's about understanding them, knowing which are valuable, and making smart decisions with your gifts. All right, let's continue breaking down this silver stash. After Eisenhower's, the next big group to focus on is Kennedy half dollars. These coins can be just as confusing as Eisenhower's, especially when you factor in bicentennial issues and the occasional pre-1965 coin that contains 90% silver. The key takeaway here is simple. Not all half dollars are created equal, and knowing the silver content is crucial to figuring out their real value. For instance, in this collection, we have a few Kennedy halves from different years. Some are bicentennials, which are 40% silver. One Kennedy from 1966 also contains 40% silver, and the dirt on it tells you it hasn't been circulated much. Another hint of higher value. On the other hand, a 1971 Kennedy contains 0 silver, while a 1964 Kennedy is pure 90% silver. That's the one you really want to keep an eye on if you're stacking or selling. The value difference between 40% and 90% silver is huge, and that's where most people get tripped up. Now, let's make this practical. If you're new to silver, the easiest thing to check first is the edge of the coin. Silver coins have a distinct edge pattern that can give you a quick clue about whether it's pure or partial silver. For bicentennials, even though they are only 40% silver, you can still see the mint markings and get a sense of its value. For full 90% silver coins, edges, dates, and mint marks become even more critical because these coins are rare, and that rarity drives the premium above melt price. Speaking of value, let's talk numbers. Using today's spot price of silver, pre-1965 coins are typically calculated using a simple formula: 0.715 x spot price x face value. For example, a Franklin $half comes out around $25.70, and a quarter would be approximately $12.85. This is straightforward and helps you quickly estimate the worth of a coin collection without relying on collector catalogs or guessing. This makes it clear why some coins are worth more than others, and why a random bag of $half can actually be surprisingly valuable. Even coins that look dull, dirty, or neglected might contain more silver than you think. In this particular collection I examined, the Franklin $half I mentioned earlier, along with other pre-1965 coins, is a prime example of silver value hiding in plain sight. The collection also included modern coins with little or no silver content. Most Eisenhowers fall into this category, but occasionally you might stumble across a 1971 collector set with 90% silver. That's rare, but it happens, and that's why sorting coins carefully matters. You can't just assume all coins in a stack are junk. Some could be worth hundreds of dollars if identified correctly. Here's another tip: handling and storage. Dirty coins can be off-putting at first, but the dirt doesn't affect silver content. It may slightly lower resale value if the coin is being sold to collectors, but for melt purposes, the silver inside is still intact. For prepper-type stacks or basic silver accumulation, it's purely about content. Gloves or thorough hand washing are just good hygiene, not an indicator of value. Ultimately, the lesson here is that a casual glance won't do. You need to check the year, mint mark, silver content, and edge to understand what you've got. Even small amounts of 40% silver add up, especially when the spot price is high. And the 90% silver coins? That's where your real value is, and potentially the difference between a $2 coin and a $100+ coin in your hands. Silver during the holidays can be a confusing gift, but it's also a fantastic opportunity to learn. Every coin is a mini lesson in history, minting, and intrinsic value. Understanding the stack you've been given, or the one you've inherited, is key to making smart decisions. Don't overlook coins just because they look ordinary. Some of the best silver finds are hidden in plain sight. Let's dive deeper into the real value of the silver stash I examined. Once you understand the basics of identifying silver, whether it's Eisenhower's, Kennedy's, or pre-1965 coins, the next step is calculating the overall worth of your collection. And trust me, when coins are mixed together like this, it can get tricky fast. That's why methodical sorting is key. The first thing I did was separate the coins by type and silver content. For Eisenhower's, about half were bicentennials at 40% silver, and half were standard coins with little or no silver. That alone shows how misleading appearances can be. A child could easily have received one of these as a gift and assumed it was just junk change, not realizing its real value. And it's not just about melt price. Some coins are more sought after by collectors, which can drive their price higher than silver content alone. Now, let's talk melt value, which is the easiest and most reliable metric for basic silver evaluation. For 40% silver coins, like the bicentennial Eisenhower's or certain Kennedy's, the value is roughly proportional to the silver inside. At today's silver spot price, that 40% coin could be worth around $22.25. Pre-1965 coins with 90% silver are much higher. A Franklin $half from that era, for example, comes out to roughly $26 in silver content, while quarters and dimes of the same period have proportional values. Using a simple formula like 0.715 x spot price x face value, you can quickly estimate melt value without complicated calculations or guesswork. The fun part of this process is that the collection is never uniform. In this stash, we had coins with visible dirt, tarnish, and signs of age. While some people might shy away from dirty coins, they often indicate little circulation, which can be a plus. It means the coins have likely retained their original silver content. I like to say that dirt is not a problem, it's a treasure map. The coins still contain the same metal, and their age adds historical context. Sorting the coins by year and mint mark makes this process more reliable. For instance, 1964, Kennedy's are pure 90% silver, while 1966, 1970 bicentennials are 40% silver. Knowing these distinctions prevents mistakes and ensures you know which coins to prioritize if selling, stacking, or simply evaluating your collection. For beginners, keeping a small laminated cheat sheet of silver content by year can save a lot of confusion. It's also worth noting that some coins from the cache were rare collector sets, which have higher silver content than most circulating coins. These 1971 collector sets, for example, could be 90% silver and are far less common than standard Eisenhowers. That's why checking for S-mint marks or other mint identifiers is critical. A coin may look ordinary, but the mint mark can dramatically change its value. At the end of the day, this particular stash was a mixed bag. Some high-value 90% silver, a good amount of 40% silver, and plenty of coins with no silver at all. It shows how a casual holiday gift can turn into an educational experience in coin evaluation. Kids, parents, even casual collectors can learn to identify silver, understand melt value, and sort coins effectively. The takeaway here is clear. Even if coins look ordinary or dirty, the content matters more than appearance. By separating coins, checking edges, dates, and mint marks, and using a simple melt value formula, anyone can get a realistic estimate of a collection's worth. Even a modest pile of mixed coins can hold significant value when properly evaluated. Silver gifts may confuse people at first, but they also teach a crucial lesson. Knowledge is as valuable as metal. Understanding what you have, even in small holiday stacks, is key to making smart decisions and recognizing hidden treasures. Now that we've looked at individual coins and how to evaluate their silver content, it's time to talk about the total value of a mixed stash like this one, and some practical advice for anyone handling silver coins. This is where things get interesting, because, as we've seen, not all coins are created equal, and sorting them properly can make a big difference in your understanding of the collection's worth. In this stash, the 90% silver coins had a face value of 350, but because silver is worth more than the face value today, the actual melt value came out to around 4,290. The 40% silver coins added another 1,100, giving the total stash a melt value of about 5,350. That's significant, especially when compared to the face value. It's a reminder that even coins that look ordinary can be surprisingly valuable if you know how to identify them. One of the biggest lessons here is that knowledge beats appearance. A dirty, stinky, or mixed stack of coins can look intimidating at first. But once you know how to check dates, mint marks, and silver content, the real value becomes clear. Sorting is essential. Start by separating coins by type. Eisenhower dollars, Kennedy halves, pre-1965 coins, and then check each for silver content. From there, you can calculate melt value quickly using the formula we discussed. 0.715 x spot price, x face value for pre-1965 coins, and proportional value for 40% silver bicentennials. For collectors and casual stackers alike, understanding edges, dates, and mint marks is vital. A bicentennial Eisenhower or Kennedy half might only be 40% silver, but with mint marks like S, San Francisco, it can carry collector interest and slightly higher resale value. Meanwhile, full 90% silver coins, especially pre-1965, are where most of the real melt value lies. That's why even small Franklin half dollars or quarters can contribute significantly to the total worth. Another practical tip is handling and storage. Silver coins don't need to be perfectly clean, but basic hygiene, like washing hands before handling, prevents oils and dirt from damaging the surface. Dirty coins might look off-putting, but they often indicate low circulation, which can be a plus if you want coins that retain higher value. Laminated cheat sheets, careful sorting, and safe storage are all part of building a smart silver collection. This holiday silver stash also highlights the fun side of silver collecting. Children receiving Eisenhowers or Kennedys may not realize what they've got, but it's a perfect teaching moment. Even casual recipients can learn to distinguish between 40% and 90% silver, identify key dates, and understand melt value. That knowledge can prevent mistakes, like selling a high-value coin for face value or overlooking a rare 90% silver coin. It's also worth noting that premium coins, collector sets, or unusual mintings can occasionally exceed melt value. But for most stacks, especially mixed holiday gifts, melt price is the most reliable measure. This stash had no numismatic premium applied. Every coin was bought at face value, which made it more cost-effective and easier to evaluate. Finally, the big takeaway. A mixed pile of silver coins is not random junk. Even if it looks ordinary, a few 90% silver coins and a good number of 40% coins can make the stash surprisingly valuable. With proper sorting, basic knowledge of coin types, and a simple melt value formula, anyone can assess the worth of a holiday gift, inherited coins, or a personal collection. In short, silver gifts teach more than they cost. They offer a hands-on lesson in history, metal value, and smart evaluation. And if you approach it with curiosity and knowledge, you can turn what seems like a small gift into a real treasure. All right, we've walked through individual coins, melt values, sorting strategies, and how to make sense of a mixed silver stash. Now it's time to wrap up and put it all together. This collection, with its Eisenhowers, Kennedy halves, and pre-1965 coins, shows exactly why knowledge is key when it comes to silver. A casual holiday gift can turn into a valuable collection if you know how to look at it. To summarize the stash I examined, the 90% silver coins had a melt value of about $4,290. The 40% silver coins added roughly $100, giving a total of $5,350 in silver content. That's impressive for what started as ordinary coins. The mix of dirty, stinky, or heavily circulated coins shouldn't scare you. If anything, it makes the treasure hunt more fun. Every coin tells a story, whether it's a bicentennial Eisenhower, a 1966 Kennedy half, or a pre-1965 Franklin half dollar. One of the key lessons here is that even coins that seem insignificant can have hidden value. Sorting by type, checking edges, mint marks, and dates, and calculating melt value lets you see the true worth of your stack. For anyone who's just getting into silver collecting, this is a perfect example of why patience and attention to detail pay off. Don't assume anything is worthless just because it looks ordinary or dirty. Another takeaway is that silver is not just about short-term gain. It's also about learning and long-term wealth preservation. For prepper-minded collectors, or anyone interested in stacking, these coins are both an educational tool and a tangible asset. You can hold history in your hand while also holding value that's linked to today's silver price. Even kids can get a lesson in coins, value, and precious metals when they unwrap these during the holidays. Handling and storage remain important. Basic precautions like washing hands or using gloves prevent damage, but don't overthink it. Dirt or tarnish doesn't reduce the intrinsic silver content. And as coins age, they often become easier to identify. Older coins tend to show characteristics that help determine purity, like the edges on bicentennials or the mint marks on pre-1965 coins. Of course, there's an element of fun here too. The thrill of sorting a pile of mixed silver, finding a 90% coin hidden among 40% coins, or spotting a rare mint mark is part of the collector's experience. That excitement is just as valuable as the silver itself. And for those who receive coins as gifts without knowing their value, it's an opportunity to learn, engage, and appreciate the metal. Before we close, a few practical tips. Separate coins by type. Eisenhower's, Kennedy halves, pre-1965 silver. Check mint marks and dates carefully. Use simple melt value calculations for pre-1965 coins. 0.715 x spot price x face value. Keep a laminated reference sheet handy if you're new to silver. Don't worry about dirt. Focus on content and proper identification first. Finally, remember that silver gifts, stacks, or inherited coins are not financial advice. The values discussed are for educational purposes, based on today's spot price. Always do your own research, DYOR, before buying, selling, or trading precious metals. That said, this holiday season, whether you're stacking, gifting, or sorting, silver is an excellent way to combine fun, education, and tangible value. Those dirty, mixed coins can actually be more rewarding than cash in the long run, especially if you take the time to learn what you've got. So tell us in the comments, did you receive silver this year? Did you know its value? Or were you surprised? Which coins did you find most interesting? And if you're sharing or giving coins as gifts, make sure the recipients understand their potential. Thanks again for tuning in to Gold Rush Reporter. Your time is appreciated, your curiosity is welcome, and your pursuit of precious metals knowledge is exactly why this channel exists. Stay safe, keep learning, and enjoy the thrill of silver, whether it's 40%, 90%, or a mix in between.